What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of The Bullpen, a joint venture between Inside BJJ and the Grappling Hour. I hope you're having a great day. I mean, I really do. It is a Wednesday, and your boy is about to go to WrestleMania. That's right, this guy right here, Rafa Esparza, about to make his way to Vegas tomorrow. That's why we're doing this on a Wednesday. In case you're all discombobulated and like, why are you doing it on Wednesday? Whatever. Shut up, bitch, because on Friday, your boy is going to be at some indie shows. I'm going to go see Bloodsport, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. Shinya Aoki is going to be on that card. I'm telling you guys, it is going to be massive, amazing. I'm stoked. And I'm so to talk with a friend, Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I am jealous, just jealous that your WrestleMania. I just watched the WrestleMania 9 documentary when they held it. It's Caesar's Palace, bringing WrestleMania to Las Vegas, and I thought, man, I'd really like to go. I'm stoked that you're going. That's pretty amazing. Throw a beer on someone for me, please. I don't care where you're sitting, man. Just back and just freaking see it, and I'll be, that's my boy Esparza. It's great to be here, Raf.
Thank you for that. I will say, you definitely told the brown person on the show to throw a beer at another person in the venue where the Raiders play. So I want you to think about that. This complexion on a cholo, let's just assume, probably wearing no deodorant too, which is going to be... So really what you're trying to do here, Tim, is you're trying to get on the board to be the fight of the week for next week. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, you know, I was going to tell you, all you got to do is watch the videos. And once a week we have it. There's a dude that kind of looks like you who's chucking a beer at somebody. Or they're doing the amazing man on wire balancing act. As they get knocked out, they somehow manage to keep that beer from falling onto the ground and spilling. So I appreciate that too.
The fact that you're sitting here trying to tell me like, no, it'll be great, you're fine. It's these other idiots that have bad stuff happen to them. That's a problem. But number two, the more I think about it, the more I realize, would I not tell you if I got into a brawl? Like, would I just keep it and see if you or the very nice people who find the video sometimes for you and are kind of a consulting producer for this show, maybe within your family, maybe they would stumble upon it and be like, that looks a lot like Raph. Like, that head is kind of unmistakable, but I don't know. Raph would never get into a fight like this, would he? Would he?
It took about 72 hours, and she'd wake me up at like 4:45 in the morning because she got an alert on her phone, and she'd be like, Tim, Raph got in a fight at WrestleMania. Look. Oh, dude, they have a video. And then we would watch it together in bed and laugh. Would warm my heart so much, man.
It would legitimately be the one kind of headline that you would see Jits Magazine put about me. Like, it'd be the one time I would not have written an article for Jits Magazine, because I did that back in the day when it was print, just saying. Instead, it would be, oh, Rafa Esparza, the dubious host of many different shows, got into an altercation, taking a steel chair, the commemorative steel chair, if anything, and tried to hit a patron with that. Having said that, Tim, there's a lot going on in this world. I feel like we should just get straight to the board. So I'm going to go ahead and transition there. But I'm happy to have your warm appreciation for all things WrestleMania.
Yes,
I will definitely have a beer in your honor. Maybe two. We'll see. I don't know how crazy it's going to get. Let's go ahead and go to the board. First, this week, while I'm going to be heading out to Vegas, a lot of people are going to be to Texas. I believe that is where the next Who's Number One is going to take place. And not just any Who's Number One that's headlined by Duarte and Nikki Rod. So I guess the question here, Tim, what other surprises are there? We do have some friends on there. I know Chris Wojcik is on that card, and it surprises me that that's actually his debut on Who's Number One. But having said that, who else can we expect to see on this card?
Yeah, that is surprising. And our buddy Wojcik is on the undercard, which is also surprising. Watch the undercard if you haven't seen Wojcik. That guy is lightning amazing. He's a fantastic grappler. There's a few names on the card, and it's interesting the composition of it. It starts off with the main card with two rising stars that we all know, young guys carving out their names: Andrew Tackett, Owen Jones, excuse me. Which is it's going to be a fantastic matchup, a banger of a match to throw out there first. Andrew Tackett is jiu-jitsu's version of a leadoff hitter. This is the guy you want going out there first, getting on base, causing a stir, getting everybody riled up. He's the dude. And then they follow that up with two legends, Shanji Hibaro, who's like for real legend. No dig on Boogie. I love Boogie, but Boogie is like street legend. He's like indie legend. These two guys are going to face up, totally different styles. I think that's going to be a real fun match to watch. And then Elizabeth Clay, she's the reigning champion. She's taking on Helena Crevar. Crevar's been like making the strap sign every time she wins. She's coming for the belt. It's going to be a serious test for Elizabeth Clay. And then the co-main event, and I see who's number one is doing, and this is clever. They're matching up Victor Hugo and Luke Griffith. Here's what's to keep in mind. Hugo beat Nicky Rod at the last Fight Pass, and Griffith beat who's the dude? Nicky Rod, Duarte. So these two guys are going to fight each other, and I would venture to say the winner of the co-main event is going to end up fighting the winner of the main event. Maybe not at the next who's number one, but pretty soon. The main event's Kanan Duarte and Nicky Rod. Kanan's beat Nicky Rod twice. Kanan's the ADCC double champ there, and we know Nicky Rod is the CJI champ. This is a real good clash of champions. I think if you look at the numbers, there's like 3 finalists from ADCC on this card, and there's 1 champ in Duarte. So pretty good card, man. I do not want to miss that.
I am also very excited for it. I unfortunately will not see it live. I'll definitely try to keep abreast of the information, but
yeah, I'm sure there's no way I would look at jiu-jitsu if I was in Vegas going to WrestleMania. I'd be like, I'm doing my other grappling martial art this weekend, guys.
So listen, me going to Bloodsport is probably the best compromise I've come to, because there's so many shows, and I really had to pick. And Tim, you've seen how I do itineraries for like jiu-jitsu stuff. Like when we went for ADCC CJI week, you saw how I like mapped it out, and I said, this is what we're doing, right? I can imagine what my friends are seeing. Are you good? Here, check. If you see me, I will be. And my friends in Vegas goes, you know the thing about Vegas, man, you can make plans, but they're not going to stay the same. Like, try me. But I was like, I will make a plan very, very effectively. But I've already bought tickets, and that night for who's number one, a little secret here. Come here, everybody. All right, Chris, there we go. All right. Hey, guys, if you wait sometimes, you can get the best tickets. Here's why. Yes, if things sell out, that's great. But I keep an eye on all the tickets. And your boy picked up some 4th row seats for not 4th row prices to go to SmackDown. The SmackDown before, the go-home show to WrestleMania. Your boy picked up. So there's a small chance I might be somewhat visible in the crowd on SmackDown this Friday, only on USA. So I guess what I'm saying is I might be seen by like 15 times the amount of people who are watching who's number one. No disrespect. I'm just saying I'm trying to level this out so that we're all over the place, so that you can see grappling. That's great. I'll come back and watch the event before we do next week's episode, I promise. But your boy's diversifying. So he's making sure he's getting you on there. And I guess the question is, Tim, what are the odds you think we get my merch on the USA Network?
I think you have pretty strong odds. And I'll tell you why. Here's why I'm putting my money on you. One is, and I mean this in a polite way, I'm told this the same unless you look at my passport photo. Then I look like a terrorist. But you're not like a threatening guy. You can kind of walk around and you can get yourself in position, right? And number two, you know where the cameras are.
I do know where the cameras are.
You know TV. You know where to be.
Tim,
you know when the timing's going to happen.
Can I tell you?
I'm putting my money on Raph. Let's go, dude. Chuck the beer. Grappling hour 316. Let's go.
Can I tell you, Tim, that when I looked up the ticket prices, I had resolved that after spending seats to be on the floor for WrestleMania, I was going to go as a poor, meaning someone who does not have the money,
right,
for SmackDown and Raw, because I had not bought tickets for those. And once I realized, I was like, well, I'll be in town, so I might as well go to them. I went from the cheap sections to seeing like, hey guys, everything's gone down at least by a fourth of the price. And I was like, ooh, let's look up what's going on here. Oh, fourth row is actually cheaper than some of these rows up here because they didn't sell out and it's 2 days before the event. And I was like, and wait. Camera side. Let's see. Oh, that's the best camera angle. Okay, done. Yeah. So I just have to hope that there's not tall people in the first 3 rows. And that maybe at a choice moment when they go to the audience on the sides that everybody's sitting down and I shoot up like, that's my hope. So that's what I'm working with there. But that's happening there. I'm also told that for WrestleMania, somebody's going into the crowd for a street fight, possibly. So I'm not as close. That's not fourth row there, but I am on the floor somewhere. So my hope is they kind of make their way to my side. But yeah, those are the small updates. So I will keep abreast. I have some friends who are going to text me some information about that. So who's number one? We wish you the best. We look forward to seeing what that looks like, but we have some more stuff to talk about here. So we're going to advance the board to our next topic, but very, very cool matchups. Now, this is the one that seemed to be kind of the talk of the jiu-jitsu community, and maybe with good reason, maybe not, depending on your interpretation. It appears that Hyperfly, a very popular jiu-jitsu brand, was under fire this week for creating a partnership with the brand Playboy. Now, part of me is wondering if I needed to preface what Playboy is, but if you're watching this show, you probably know what it is. Having said that, some people didn't feel like the partnership was appropriate. Some people were disappointed that maybe we can't see the empowerment of the current version of Playboy. And then I think a lot of comments were just all over the place. Tim, what make you of this partnership, and what is your interpretation of the kind of that's happened as a result of it?
There's a couple ways to look at it. I think Playboy's probably trying to reform their brand with a newer audience, move away from the girly magazine brand, maybe lifestyle brand or something. I don't know. So I could see them trying to do partnerships like this. It's kind of their demographic, when you think about jiu-jitsu. On the other hand, if you're a company like Hyperfly, you gotta think you should be prepared for a little backlash and have maybe a way to deal with it or address it ahead of time. Not at all. It was just like, hey, we're going to do this. And then, hey, the thing that kind of gets me is I know who's doing more business is Toehold turning over bigger numbers than Hyperfly, because the community kind of cares about that, but I don't see a big uproar about it. And it's interesting the battles that get picked. Maybe it's because Playboy is such an identifiable brand. Everybody's heard of it. Probably gets more traction out there in the world. But yeah, it's probably not the smartest move. I understand the criticism. It just surprises me that they weren't prepared ahead of time for it. So,
okay, here's kind of my thoughts on this. What's really weird is that there's a whole generation that lived with the joke, I only read Playboy for the articles. Now, why is that joke funny? Well, let's just break down jokes here. That's what we do. The whole purpose of it was people like to like comment on the idea of, you know what Playboy is, but if you really think about it, there have been some fascinating and good articles that have been written in that publication. Really where it comes down to is in a sport like jiu-jitsu, where we do have a troubled history of how we treat women in the sport, it does come off a certain way when a very popular organization says, we're going to do a collaboration. And I think people are right to be in their feels, but I would say this. I felt like my initial reaction was, oh, okay. I didn't care. I just thought, okay, they're going to do a partnership. And it wasn't until they got the feedback where they said, yeah, we don't like that from the community and very vocal members. And then I had this immediate reaction of, yeah, it's fair. I can't blame you. Feel how you want to feel. It's not necessarily my fight I feel like I need to have, but I could understand their point. And I wonder, Tim, you mentioned when they said that we were just going to do this. Would anything have changed from the company if they said, like, what would you guys feel if we did a thing with Playboy? Because I don't think that works either. And I feel like the weird part of this is, and it's part of where I bump in the modern society of you have to apologize. And I understand it's nice to see that. That's what we think. Like if a celebrity has a fuck up, you think, oh, if they apologize, maybe they're not so bad consciously. But who are we apologizing to? That's the issue that I think that happens in most of these things. So like whenever they say like this person, oh, they don't need to apologize. They don't need to do anything. It's like, well, they don't necessarily need to apologize to you, but sometimes you want to see them apologize to the person they harmed. In this particular case, there's not a person, more of a culture. So these are kind of the questions that went through my head, but I wanted to see if any of that resonates with you.
Yeah, it does. And I'm actually of the mindset that if you're going to put a stake in the ground like this and you believe in what you're doing, then you got to just do it and don't apologize and just do it and prove people wrong. If you have the right intentions and you're going to make this some beneficial thing, then do that. And if you're not, if you're going to be like seedy and seductive, then you're probably going to be that anyway. So just do it. Like, whatever. I don't think apologizing works in most cases because the culture never really forgives it. That deed always will be attached to your name, even if you grovel and apologize. It's just the way it works, man. The other side of it, though, that really piques my interest is Playboy's a pretty big brand to take interest in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's a very big brand. And have we seen an American brand like that with that level of, I mean, that's a household name. That's a household name. Now, maybe it's a sign that they're slumming it. They're hanging out in the jiu-jitsu crowd, but maybe it's a sign that jiu-jitsu is starting to land on the corporate map in terms of a place where there's potential for growth. So we shall see.
That's fair. My only thought that I had in terms of this, where it could have worked if they had just plunged ahead, was if you really were going to be about women's empowerment, I think you just had to do it. Like if you were so headstrong about this being a win-win situation, then right out the gate, you have to start with things, promotions, campaigns, something that would have set the table that said, we know our history. We know that this may not be everyone's cup of tea, but having said that, here's how we're planning to go forward. What you had was, we have an association with Playboy, and there was no preface with it. It's just like, hey, we're going to do this stuff, and it's going to be great. And you go, big announcement. Okay, but the big announcement didn't have the campaign ready. And as a result of that, there was this kind of thing where people were like, well, what are you going to do? And then you let everybody fill in the gaps with their head and the history of Playboy. And that's where I think it kind of hit that wall. Like, because now, depending on who you are, if you fill in that gap and you think like, what is my interpretation of Playboy? If it's favorable, you're fine. if it's not favorable, you have a lot of uphill battle. And maybe that was going to be the next step. Maybe. We don't even know. I'm just curious in the sight of public relations how that didn't happen. And then from your perspective of just go for it and just do it, I think the hardest part of that implementation is you don't know the intention. So we never even got to see it. We just saw that people said no. To their credit, I will say this. Hyperfly did say, hey, we're going to change this based off of your reception, your feedback. That's pretty impressive. I think the initial response didn't feel satisfactory enough to certain people. Understandable. It kind of felt like we hear you, we hear where you're hurting. We hear you, which doesn't mean much sometimes.
You are heard.
But having said that, this was them saying like, hey, listen, we're actually not going to do it because you guys didn't like it. So like us again, don't like us, we don't know. But even when the CEO is a female who's saying like, hey, listen, I'm trying to say this is something that's important to me and we want to reclaim it and show people's power. The messaging was just a little muddled, and there is a part of me that wonders what could have been.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you hit the nail on the head. If they would have made the announcement like a cool commercial that actually demonstrated what the collaboration was, it would have defined it for everyone. Instead, it's like, they're going to make pornographic videos, like that's what everyone thinks. So yeah, that's a great take.
It's the hope. And the idea is, I would say this for people, for Hyperfly, without knowing their full intentions, I think it is harder to judge where they would have gone. So I would hope that people give them that afforded perspective, but they did change it based off of you. And speaking of which, hello, look at this person. It says, hello, my beautiful baby boys. One, B-Mac, Brandon McCaffrey. Good to see you, sir. I believe there are going to be some updates soon about the PGF, so we're waiting to hear some new information, and we will keep you guys abreast of that information. But I've been watching, I had to do it tape delayed, so I've been starting the Grapplers documentary, and I've been very happy with what I have seen thus far, and I'll save my full compliments to when I see it all in totality. But we move on to our next, which is this grudge match. Yeah, this one caught me by surprise. It does look like we're going to see Mikey Musumeci versus Gio Martinez. And part of my brain was like, we're doing this again? And another part of my brain said, why not? So I guess the question is here, Tim, why are we running this one back? And yet, even though there is a little bit of why are we doing this again, there is a part of me that's thinking, hey, they did kind of make this announcement during the week of a very, very high-profile UFC weekend.
Yeah, they did. I think it's a good matchup for Mikey Musumeci. That takes nothing away from Gio. Their rivalry, I think this might be their second match, I think. But their rivalry kind of originated as the road to ADCC. That's how it was pitched. And Mikey beat Gio in 2021. He beat him 6-0. And post-match, tensions escalated, of course. And Mikey kind of questioned Gio's professionalism, even going as far as to say like Eddie should consider taking his belt away, which is insane. And then had beef with Musumeci's demeanor. And this is the classic taste great, less filling. Professionalism, demeanor. Professionalism, demeanor. These guys, they're never going to see eye to eye. So they were going to have another matchup again. And both guys ended up losing in the ADCC, not making it very far in the earlier rounds. And so matchup kind of fizzled out. And here we are again. Martinez is 37 years old and Musumeci's 28, but I think his body is probably 49 with all of the illnesses and injuries and hospital stays. One day in the hospital is about 17 weeks for a normal person. So you age a lot faster that way. But this is a big chance for Gio to get redemption. And it's a good chance for Mikey to kind of seal his spot is like, I'm not someone to be toyed with. So big matchup, man. I'm stoked for it.
One thing I wanted to talk about was perspective on this one, because one thing that surprised me was seeing Gio put out a post that said, hey, I'm not who I was back then. And that's not just from the athletic side. He was saying it more from the mental side, where he goes, I used to be this guy and I used to think this way about him. And it's no ego this time. It's just, I'm trying to do what I do, which is I'm a grappler. I'm born to do this. And I want my time on the mats. You know, respect to Mikey for doing what he's done in the time since we've had this match. And it seemed to signal a shift that took it, from my perspective, from grudge match to just a rematch that has a lot of upside for Gio. And I could understand why he wanted it. So from that perspective, I kind of got it. And then even from the other side, I thought, oh, part of the reason why they want this is Mikey's already a pretty big name for the Fight Pass folks, but Gio's a very big name in his own right. So yeah, if you're putting together super fights and really fun exhibitions, why aren't we doing this? So I went from having many different feels about it to, yeah, all right, I'll watch that. So I'm very excited for that. That's coming up, I believe, next month. We will keep you abreast of that information. And of course,
I think it's May 29th.
May 29th, thank you. Well, a month earlier, April 29th, you're going to get some big announcements regarding the PGF. So everybody, stay tuned for that one. That is not that far away. So that's really 13 days away. That's like less than 2 weeks away, guys. Your boy will be back from WrestleMania and be ready to look at the next biggest thing, which is the PGF. So very excited about that. Thank you for that, BMAC. Always love that he's going to sprinkle in some little nuggets here. Interesting. When you put it like this, I had no clue what this was going to be, Tim, but you put in and out. Lovato in, Andrew out versus Bodoni. So what are we talking about here? Who got injured in this? Are we talking about Andrew Tackett? Is he out?
No, so this is the work of Jiu-Jitsu's our resident Machiavelli. He's like a Machiavelli with memory loss, Tom DeBlas. He leaked this out on the internet.
Oh, right. Yes.
Accident. It wasn't supposed to be official, but it sounded official. Like, this guy is so not undercover. Yeah, he leaked it out. So apparently Bodini was going to have a matchup against Felipe Andrew. And Felipe Andrew tested hot in the IBJJF. USADA popped him. And one said, hey, we can't have you on. This is the story that we're being told. I don't know if there's a backstory. Now, there's a chance, and this is my interpretation, that Felipe Andrew just got some horse meat. You know, too many burgers, got the Overeem, meant to get the animal style, got the Overeem. Popped hot. What are you going to do? And so one's like, no. Lovato's in now. Andrew's out. So we're going to see Rafael. Let's not go Brazilian on a guy from Oklahoma. Rafael Lovato is going to be taking his place against Bodini. This is an interesting clash of styles here. And I think they're still putting on compelling jiu-jitsu matches, and maybe that's their sweet spot. 1 or 2 matches, don't overdo it, really put our time into it and have a quality match. So looking forward to it.
Thank you for that backstory, because I literally had no idea what anything was happening with that. I just saw that they had that match for Lovato coming in, and I said, oh, well, good for Lovato. That's awesome. I didn't know that the Blast pulled a boomer and was like, uh-oh, I texted this out. Whoopsies. So interesting. I guess the Andrew part in terms of the popping. So 1FC, and this is all allegedly, so we don't know for sure, but 1FC seemed to say if he popped for the IBJJF, then we don't want him either.
Because it was USADA that popped him. Now, I didn't think one had USADA, but this event is in Denver. So this fight is going to be in Colorado. So maybe they have to do testing.
It still seems weird.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, not good for them. It's just, where were they when I was competing?
Yeah, Naga. I don't think Naga uses USADA, dude.
They better, bro, because my friends. And no, Jeff, but when it crosses over and you got one of, do they, because the time they get Jeff? I'm like probably everybody see. I will that once the UFC start pony up with who they're taking, because if people getting popped, they wouldn't have Gordon on there, and it's going to bring in some interesting questions about who gets involved, where, and when, and why.
He hasn't been popped yet. My speculation, real quick, is that because it's an MMA card, that the commission's all over the event. Perhaps.
See,
Perhaps.
on my what a good excuse if that wasn't the idea, though. On my side, whenever we do stuff for Subversive, the commission doesn't really look at the jiu-jitsu athletes. Combat
Very
athletes,
true.
they're very concerned about. So they want to make sure they're all checked out and they're good. Huh. Interesting. Well, we'll put a pin in that and return back to that information later. But when I did see In and Out initially, I got hungry and then I got really mad at you. So we stay here on this.
I think I feel I can't even get it in and out.
Well, listen, you moved, bro. This was a choice that you made. So this is the sacrifice. This is your Creed moment. This is your sacrifice. They have their sacrifice. Tim's is a song about survival and endurance and not eating In and Out. AARP. Tim, when you say how old will you be, why are you courting this line of questioning for perhaps the two oldest, most current hosts that are in the podcast sphere for jiu-jitsu?
Well, the thing about me, and I don't like to give myself too many compliments, but I can laugh at myself. I don't have a big problem with that. And, after you get into masters and then it's a crooked number, it's like, dude, you're old. What are you going to do? And there's an article that came out. I don't know who published it. It may have been Jits Magazine. It was floating around on all the publications out there. And it was that I think it's like beltchecker.com or something like that. They have like 37,000 belts in there. And so they came up, I don't know who's doing the math, yo. I don't know if it's Doge or if it's like new math or what, but the average age of a practitioner who reaches black belt is 39 years old. And I'm like, damn, there's no other sport like that. That's for certain. The average age of the highest level competitors, I would venture, is like 25 years old, maybe. And then it just got me thinking, man, like I got my black belt around 39 or so. What else could I have done in that time frame? And I got a couple things I want to share with you, and I just popped these off when you were talking, but I I'm so stupid. I could write the Lord of the Rybings, which is a Pig Latin interpretation of the Lord of the Rings.
No.
I could have done that, Raph. I could have learned how to crochet. I could have learned the 5 basic sauces of French cuisine. I could have done a lot of things in that time. I could have got a hair system put in, could have be all tatted up. I won't be training. But instead, I chose a little piece of black cloth. What about you? What could have you done? And you're still on your way. You're very close. No. I would venture to say you're probably a black belt, Raph. That's
no. So you want to know what gets weird is when my students are like, well, you're a black belt, right? And I go, no. And they go, but you got to be. And I go, to you. Yes. You don't know any better. And when people bitch, because some people will get mad, they're like, man, shouldn't you be this or shouldn't you be that? And I go, I don't promote me. And also on a bad day, I like roll with the blue belt and I'm like, no, that's not great. I'm exactly where I need to be. On another good day, I might beat some brown belts and black belts and I'm like, that's not bad. All right, we do okay. So I like to tell people, if you're in it for the long term or the ride, you don't care. And I don't care. So I've never set it out like you're trying to get promoted at a job. It's like, hey, I've done a lot of reports lately, so we looking pretty good for me. Raf's really been showing up on time for the warm-ups. What do you think? What could I have done? Well, I could have written the Great American Novel twice, which oddly is still in the checkbox. I've always thought, I was like, I've kind of wanted to write a book, but it just seems like a lot of work. And I don't know. I could have developed
a lot of writing.
The first AI for jiu-jitsu. That's usually off top of mind. Something good like stats. Like, that's the whole thing is, I wonder if BJJ heroes, no offense, we love you guys, but I wonder if they feel the heat that they could be replaced by AI at some point. Or is it an area of AI that AI is like, even artificial intelligence goes, we don't care. Your sport's too boring. I don't care about the stats.
It doesn't track points. Even AI can't stand points tournaments.
AI is like, dude, I didn't watch who's number one. I just didn't have the time. I got asked to figure out the constellations this week. I didn't have time to go look at your who's number one, Nikki Rod, who won, who cares? I think the better thing is, I think in a different sport, if I had committed to hockey, I probably would be like a part-time announcer for like the minor league of hockey somewhere in Kansas. I feel like they would have picked me up. They would have been like, this guy's all right. So that's where I think I could have gone. But no, my time in jiu-jitsu hasn't been wasted. What are you talking about? You're crazy.
We're about there in jiu-jitsu.
What's that?
We're about there. We're the minor league hockey in Kansas. We're about that status in jiu-jitsu.
I mean, I feel exactly as famous as that. So I will agree with you. But I think the weird part is, everything I've spent in jiu-jitsu has always been time well spent because it's something I wanted to do. So I've always told people, I'm like, if I really wanted to be this superstar reporter, probably would have found a different sport, but I love this and I want to make it better. So I feel like that is our burden, our commitment to you guys. So one day when we finally make it better, we can all look back at this and say, haha, we did. But until then, suck on it because you're just getting what you get. But we move on to this next topic, which is congrats. And the congrats here are for Jean-Jacques Machado, who just received his 8th degree on his red and black belt. So, Tim, why are there like extra like characters after the exclamation mark? Because when I was reading that, I didn't know what emphasis I'm supposed to add here. What did it originally say black belt and it was just too long and it made it into symbols?
Oh, I didn't even catch that. That didn't get back. My crack quality control team didn't catch that.
It's just as I was reading it, I was like, Jean-Jacques Machado, 8th degree, red, black belt. Like what am I? It looked like it was a censored word. So it was like, is there a new slur or bad word in jiu-jitsu that I didn't know about? And it's definitely not going to be used for Jean-Jacques Machado. But having said that,
not at all.
What can you tell us about this recent promotion that I think a lot of people were very happy to see?
Yeah, it's pretty wild to have Hicks and Gracie give you a degree on your red and black coral belt. Now, and I might be wrong because I'm not like really boned up on my IBJJF promotion calendar, but I thought on the coral belt, the red and black coral, not the Santa Claus red and white one, but the OG one, I thought there were only 7 degrees on that belt, but I could be wrong, and they might not be doing that belt, right? That might be like whatever. So huge though, man. Like, what an accomplishment. And I looked at that poster, and I'm like, even if you went by IBJJ, it's like 39 years to get at a black belt. I mean, dude, let's go. I'm just gonna be a black belt. I'm fine. I'll retire at that. I'm satisfied. But I want to congratulate Jean-Jacques. What an amazing achievement. And I wanted to just give him advice, seeing that he's close to his 10th degree. It's just, my advice to you is just not about the belts, bro. Like, just have fun with jiu-jitsu. Don't worry about how you're doing. Like, don't compare yourself to the other people. Just go in and have fun and be you, and just like play your game every time you're there. Make sure you get something out of it. I want you smiling when you come in. I want you smiling when you go in.
Well said, Tim. What I would say is, obviously, Jean-Jacques, very near and dear to us here on this podcast. So congratulations to him. It is wild, though, when I look at those markers on where you're supposed to be, because when I was doing the timeline, and again, I'm saying this as somebody who is not even a black belt yet. When I started doing the math, I go, there's no way in hell I could get a coral belt. Like, I did the math, and I go, if you wanted to be a coral belt, you had to start at birth. Because when you look at how long it takes, it's a body of work for Jean-Jacques that completely makes sense. You're born into this family. You love it. You do it for years. You're a legend. You win. You have storied like accomplishments and legends even within your own association. And then you look at somebody like yourself that doesn't get born into it, maybe founded around 30. And then as you're going along, go, huh? Blacks, yeah, that's it. That's where it's happening. If you give me a couple stripes, we're good. I'm not even there. So let's assume they give it to me by my 50th birthday. And even then, whatever. That means they're wheeling me out at the age of 93 to be like, still not a coral belt, Raph. Still didn't happen. And I'm not even responsive. They just got me on some IV and being like, like, it's made me realize this is part of the reason why when people are like, what are you chasing for the belts? It's like, bro, I'm just here. Like, I'm here for a good time. At some point, I'm going to annoy somebody long enough where they go, fine, here's your stupid belt. That's kind of the MO. But when I looked around and they're like, oh, there's a coral belt. And I was like, that does not apply to me. So thank you. But having seen somebody like Jean-Jacques get it, well-deserved and very fun. So congratulations to him. Tim, now we take a harsh turn from being complimentary to going into our fight of the week. So what can you tell us about this week's low light highlight?
So this is another gem that was delivered to me from my secret source, who, by the way, is knocking them out of the park lately. Brilliant fight. Very interesting study in the energy of a fight. A fight is like a wildfire. And I know it's a little early to bring that up to my friends on the West Coast, but it kind of jumps around sometimes. And this is a fight where it does. It's like the Holy Spirit moving through a full gospel church. It just starts jumping around on different people. That's what happens, man. It's like popping around. There is an amazing thing that happens, though, and I want you to watch for it. I don't want to give it away. I just want you to watch it. I haven't seen this yet in a fight. And then there's a deplorable thing that happens. And that was wrong, but it's part of fighting in the streets. And then there's a really hilarious thing that happens. So that's all I want to give away, man.
Hold on. When you say, hey guys, this is a great one, can't wait for you to watch it, there is a deplorable thing. We don't judge here, but it was very, I wouldn't. If I was in a fight, I wouldn't. Like,
I wouldn't. Okay. I wouldn't do the move. Yeah, I would not have done it. It was wrong. Well, but it's a fight and shit's popping off.
It's just,
hey man, that's the reality of the jungle.
I know what the reality is, but you can't tell me as you're saying this, like, hey Raph, there's decorum in a fight. It's like, bro, if I kick you in the face, it's a fight. I don't know how to tell you any differently. And I got to tell you this. Somebody sent me footage of somebody getting popped in the knee. And they were like, hey, somebody got hurt. And I looked at it and I go, oh, it doesn't even look like they got hurt. But yeah, no, I'm sorry. I hope they feel better. I expected it to be worse. That's just from a sparring session. We're talking about someone in a fight where I go, no, all bets are off. Do what you need to do. So,
yeah.
Having said that, Tim, by all means, please walk us through this week's fight of the week.
All right. So this is a dangerous situation because it's an open air fight. There's not a fight circle. And that's how you know it can jump. Hat guy is wanting to take shots at long hair, and girlfriend's doing a great job standing in between. And then she's not deaf, but she does know sign language. She's speaking to the hatted gentleman in sign language. And now we got the Fem gang jumping on this dude, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to punch you back. And now they're on ice skates. And there's the brilliant move. I don't know if you caught it. I will call it out. And then homie gets planted and then beat on. And now the fight, it starts to jump a little bit. And you'll see it out on the left side of the screen. There's a little bit of roughing up the lady here that I'm not a big fan of. But the ladies are holding their own, and they are providing now the fight is jump. There's some WWE action. Now there's a lady.
No.
That was uncalled for right there.
Wow.
That was not nice. Little friendly fire there, push. And now the fight moves up the street. And if you just look up the sidewalk, there's another scuffle that's
what is
about
happening here. Why am I in this?
What's going on right now? Oh, shit.
Why was that my footage? That was my rolling footage. Where the fuck did that come from? Okay.
I don't know. I cracked into your phone.
You did crack into my phone. I mean, that's amazing. Tim, let me just say this real quick. So in watching this, I have questions. But the first of which is the ladies getting involved is concerning. Because to me, I'm like, ma'am, please, I know you're going to talk into this, but you always hope that they're the calming mechanism. But I do worry when a woman throws a punch because you don't want to just keep blocking. And these guys clearly are not of sound mind. So when they do something like this, you look at them and you go, what's wrong with you? And you think to yourself, well, they weren't thinking right to begin with. So damn, oh God, that really did take me out of it for a second. Okay, let me walk you through my thoughts minus that. And by the end, maybe you see some of my training footage, which is hilarious now that I realize that. But let's go through this. All right, first things first. I want to bring this up. Over here on the side, you see one of my cousins. It's kind of what he looks like. He's wearing the white hat and this long coat, which if you really think about it, should be a gi. So really, missed opportunity. The wall of girlfriends extend their way to try to break up the fight. Looking like the ladies from the Wonder Woman movie. They're trying to form a line that is going to break things up and out of peace, bring in some offerings. Now you're going to see here over to the bottom left. It's a little surprising because I didn't think he would make an appearance here, but Paul Walter Hauser appears to have inserted himself into this fight.
Wait. Is that the guy from Lost?
No, you know what? Actually, the more that you bring it up, it is a little bit more of that dude from Lost. Yeah, I could see that a little bit.
I thought that was okay. Keep going.
No, see, I'm talking about my man here. Paul is the beast that you might have seen as Richard Jewell or in Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah, Richard Jewell, the Atlanta '96 bombing. Richard Jewell.
Yeah, he played that guy in the movie.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I love that dude. He's also a huge pro wrestling fan, so we love that guy. But yes, him in disguise on this one. Let's cut back, and you tell me if you don't see him wearing a wig and coming into this fight the second I pause it, because it definitely looks like him undercover here. We're going in 3, 2, 1. That's 100% him in a wig. I know it. I can feel it. This dude loves getting into scraps in the pro wrestling world, is actually a very accomplished pro wrestler now in our world. He does biff on the first, but makes up for it. The hat has gotten knocked off here, people. And yet he's going in low, which is really not where you want to be. Gets dragged down and takes a few to the body off of that. Now, as the ladies are trying to calm everybody down, you want to say, no, do not push that lady. That is uncool, sir. but everybody's just trying to make the most out of it. I think my favorite thing in any fight is when people just point at you. Now, you mentioned that this thing broke up into like 3 or 4 different fights. Look at what's happening here. Everybody's having their own mini story. Dude, immediate should be arrested. Like, detained, whatever. That dude, you are on film, sir. And the only thing that I don't like about this is you don't see that dude get his comeuppance. Like, the dude who pulled
No, you don't.
on that lady's hair, like, not cool. Up until there, though, I mean, incredibly unpredictable. So it's hard to really figure out from this world. But I would tell you this. Tim, you continue to always find things that are going to surprise me. So I appreciate you and I applaud you. But we do have a comment here for the gallery section, which we're going to go ahead and very quickly address. Somebody asked us, and this is Joseph Zavala, who says, thoughts on Jiu-Jitsu World League and how they run their events. I'll start with you, Tim.
Oh, wow. Let me get my notes out for Jiu-Jitsu World League that I have. Well, here's how they run events. They're trying to remain profitable, and they're trying to bring Jiu-Jitsu events all over the place. They're everywhere. To be honest, Jiu-Jitsu World League was maybe the first tournament that I remember that made use of text messaging to let you know how far you are for your match. 45 minutes to go, 30 minutes to go, which I found wildly useful and could not even believe. So not a beef with them. I just recently had to interact with them to get some of my coaches get their belts changed because they were promoted and they had the wrong belt for about a year in their system. And for some reason they couldn't update it, and they took care of it. I don't have a real beef with them. I don't know if there's some did they partner with Playboy? Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know about.
Let me bring in my very conditional response here. I understand this is only to my world, so I'll even take Tim out of this one. This is on just me. I like Jiu-Jitsu World League. I think they provide a very responsible and easily well-run tournament. Like, it's very fun. I encourage my students to go take it. I've competed a number of times. I like it. It's very professional. Very cool. Said that I have some notes. I don't mind the text messaging. In fact, if anything, I thought the text messaging was a plus because they would tell me like, hey, Raph, surprise, you're old and olds go at 7 p.m. And I think to myself, 7 p.m.? Is it just because you combine gi and no gi? Because if so, I kind of get it. But like 7 p.m., like, bro, we're the olds. Why are we going at 7 p.m.? The old should go earlier. 7 p.m. One time it even told me, it's like, you're going at 9 p.m. And I was like, you are kidding yourself if you think I'm going at 9 p.m. We are the olds. We don't have that time. But that's not the real conversation we need to have here. The real feedback I have for them is they have a rule, which is you can only coach if you're a brown belt and up. Okay. Why? If you guys are the alternative to some other prominent organizations, which make it so that you only have to be a black belt to go there, and only black belts get the distinguished honor of going to coach other people, what about these small schools? Like, what are you effectively doing to a small school that's going to send some of their students out there? You're going to leave those students without a coach. I think it's silly. I think it's sure, maybe they want to do that. Maybe they want to give preference to these bigger schools so that they encourage people to come and, like, in mass give love to these big schools, which probably give them a lot of money. Having said that, like, legitimately, why would you ever let somebody perform without a coach that they feel comfortable with? So having this whole brown and black belt, you would hope that everybody has a brown and black belt that they're learning from, but that's not the case. So I would say, I think there needs to be a revision on that rule. You're not the IBJJF, and that's part of the reason we like going to you. So that's some real constructive criticism. And I'm sure whatever version or response you have talks about the honor of being an upper belt and blah, 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 and the distinguished blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking about at its peak. You pay money to compete in this, and then you are effectively telling that person their coach is not going to be able to come, so they won't have the benefit and the added incentive to have their coach walk them through a tournament. And yet, you will tell me, because it is something traditionally we have done, that's your argument. It's not good enough. I think it's bullshit. And you're asking people to pay more and more every single time. So other than that, lovely tournament. Love them. But that's a really dumb policy. And there's nothing you could do to convince me it's not a dumb policy. You could try. Your arguments will be zero.
Actually, it's funny you say that. That is the reason why I had to have their belts changed, because they're brown belts and they keep going to tournaments, and because they say purple in their system, they won't let them coach. So yeah, to your point.
Just saying, it's a dumb rule. It's just, it's silly, because then we're getting into the what? Is this the Titanic? Are you a first class? No. Then die. You stay off these lifeboats. They're only for first class. Women and children. You and your trash belt. Get out of here. Like, dude, these small kids who probably want to just get some experience and some reps, what are you doing to them? It doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make it inclusive. So, sure. I did bring this up to a prominent lawyer within the jiu-jitsu community, and they took the side of big black belt because they themselves are a black belt. And I said, you're a sellout. And they were like, well, you know, purple belts and below are not protected class citizens. And I was like, first of all, that sounds like some discriminatory language, so we're going to fight. And two, like, go fuck yourself. Like, I know we want to talk in legalese, but really what it comes down to is go fuck yourself. I think that's the easiest way to get into that language. Anyway, Tim, why don't you tell the people where they can find you, sir? We have made our way through the board this week, and we thank you, Joseph, for that great question, because it allowed me to do my rant on the Jiu-Jitsu World League.
Yes, sir. You can find me at Inside BJJ on your social media platforms. If you're out in Nashville, come check me out at 10th Planet Nashville. And if you are out in Central California, go check out our sister school, 10th Planet Stockton. I sat down yesterday with the new GM of Flow Grappling. His name is Ben Kovacs. He's also one of the founders of the Guardian Gym. I got a tight hour in with him. I brought up a lot of criticism and basically everything the internet's saying, more or less, about Flow Grappling. Pretty interesting responses, so check that out. I should be pumping it out there sometime tomorrow. Raph, is always a blessing, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. When you say it's a blessing after talking about us being the oldest show in history, being like, well, how old do you feel? And I'm like, I didn't feel old until you asked. But nonetheless, Tim, I appreciate you, sir. I will be thinking fondly of you. And we do have some breaking news. It does appear that our good friend Sebastian Attard is actually out of Who's Number One. He was going to be on the preliminary card, but it looks like I can't tell what's happening. He's got an IV drip of some sort here. So
it's the far-reaching IBJJF ban. Who's Number One said, hey, look, Andrew's out, Attard's out.
Look at that. So you know what it was? His body went like this to him.
Oh! That was great.
The best in the business. Anyway, Tim, I'll talk to you in a minute. My thanks to you. I'll close this pitch up. Hey, guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Bullpen. We appreciate you. Some reminders, if you like and enjoy what we do here, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all of our places. So that means for me, you can find me at Grappling Hour on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of the major ones, including Apple Podcasts. If you go there, we'd love a rate and review. And if you check us out on Spotify, we'd love it if you give us just kind of a rating there. It really does help. It helps more people to see this show. Additionally, you can also check me out at Grappling Hour on Patreon. For Patreon, if you subscribe there, it's $5 a month. You see my interviews 30 days before everybody else. And for a few extra dollars, you see extra bonus content that's not available anywhere else, including the popular segments Roast Raph, where people roast my competition footage, and a segment where people are trying to murder me. The Grappling Hour Challenge. Recently, good friend Chris Wojcik, who will be on Who's Number One, took a chance at trying to beat me up on that card. And he gets a submission, and he gets 2 minutes to try and land it on me. It's a rough day at the office for some of us. So go check that out. That is at patreon.com/grappling hour. Last couple of reminders. You can also get some Grappling Hour merch. Head on over to raffasparza.com/merch. Get you some merch there to support us here. Every cent goes right back into the show, so we appreciate you for that. And last couple of reminders. If you guys would be so kind, check us out next week. We'll be back with another episode of The Bullpen. But for right now, my friends, that is going to do it for us. It has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.